Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the stance defense guide. Now, a few things before we get into it because these are important. First of which, this is not going to be a deep dive into every single character's stance. If we do that, this video is going to be 6 hours long, and we can't do that. If you want to have a deep dive of every single stance, that will actually be in the description. For every single character, their full guides will be there, and there are sections for all of the stances. So, what will this cover? Well, it will go over what every single move in every stance looks like, and what will happen when you use that move against the preferred counterplay. So for instance, if we use a character like Lidia, so sidestep right duck is going to beat all of these options. I'm going to show you all of the options that it beats. Additionally, okay, this option beats sidestep right duck, and here's the reward for it. That's what you're going to be looking at, so that's going to be more digestible. It's going to make the video much shorter, and it's going to give you all the information that you need to effectively counterplay these characters. Second, certain characters don't have stances. They won't be in here. It might just be Claudio, but yeah, certain characters don't have stances. Kazuya does have 2 forced transitions into crouch dash, so we will still be talking about Kazuya in this video, but because Claudio does not have any stances, Claudio will not be in this video, so keep that in mind. Third, we will also be talking about character-specific counterplay. What this means is that if Lili and Alisa can either sidestep the opposite direction, or will avoid more moves than other characters by stepping in the same direction, we will talk about that. We will also talk about whether or not Devil Jin can use his armored parry, and whether or not Yoshi can flash/spin out of every single option. So, that covers the intro section. Let's get into the video. First things first, we're going to talk about Alisa. There isn't a lot to say about backup because the only move that transitions into backup on hit is her down 3. So yeah, if you get hit by the down 3, then you have to hold the mix. And if you don't get hit by down 3, then you will launch her before any move comes out. So that's pretty much it for backup. Yeah, nothing super crazy there. Next, we'll talk about destruction. That is the chainsaw stance. So this stance you're typically going to get in around +5. So most of her punishes are going to be around +5, and her wall running 2 is going to be around +5. The issue with this stance, unfortunately, is that you have to take a guess basically no matter what. There is no catch-all. That is because destruction 1+2 is a homing high, down 2 is a homing low. We also have back 1+2, this is a homing armored mid, and back to 1 is a homing, both hits are homing, mid that floor breaks. So yeah, you have to guess, sorry. Now, in terms of the counterplay, you do want to go right, so you want to do a side step, not necessarily a side walk. It's really going to depend on what option you think Alisa is going to use, but side step is generally going to be the best bet here. So let's just go through all the options. Forward 1, you will step. 1, you will not step this. Not only will you not step this, if she does this properly, then she can do this, and you basically have to block that. So that's 50 damage no matter what, but it is a reset to do. Down 1, what will happen here is you will get clipped by the first hit, but then you will sidestep the rest of the hits, so she'll be -24. 2, this will launch you if you sidestep, it won't if you sidewalk. For forward 2, this will completely whiff if you sidestep, but if you sidewalk, that will hit you. Down 2, this is homing. Again, you will duck that if you decide you want to duck. Back 2, again, this is homing. Both hits are completely homing, so it is what it is. 1+2, if you do a sidestep duck or a sidestep block, you won't really be able to create enough space to avoid the other things and also duck that, or block it rather. So unfortunately, you're just gonna get hit by that if you commit to moving at all, but again, it is what it is. Up forward 1+2, you'll just step this, and then forward 1+2, you will completely evade this. So good stuff. In terms of the character specific stuff, Lili and Alisa, they can sidewalk left and they will evade everything except the forward 1. And obviously all the homing buttons, they will not be able to evade those as well. Next, let's talk about boot and dual boot. The counterplay here is you want to sidestep right duck That's just going to be your best bet, basically, no matter what. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. We're typically getting in around +6 with backup 1. So we will get in on +6 here. We can also get in on +4 with destruction down 2. We can press 3 or 4 to go into dual boot from that. Boot and dual boot are basically the same thing. Just the 1, 2, and 1+2 options will change because it's whether or not she has her chainsaws out. The 4 and 3 options, they say the same. First, we'll talk about boot. Boot 1, you will get tagged by this. That's not the biggest deal because you only have to eat the first 2 hits. So you will get hit by these and then you will be able to block. But yeah, you will get tagged by that for 25 damage, so do keep that in mind. Next, we have boot 2. You will cleanly step that, though that is very hard to punish. Next, we have boot 1+2. This is a high, so you will be able to duck that with the sidestep right duck. We have boot 3, which you will duck, and this is, I believe, -14 on block. Yeah, -14. And we have boot 4, which is this jumping kick. You will evade that, so cool. Finally, let's go over the dual boot exclusive options, and again, the counterplay is exactly the same here. So, we have dual boot 1. This will whiff. Dual boot forward 1. This will also whiff. Dual boot 2. This will whiff. Forward 2, you will duck the first hit. If she finishes it, it is -26. You do need to stand back up and block for it, though. If she doesn't finish it, it is -12. Dual boot 1+2, this will tag every single character in the game. And dual boot forward 1+2. This is very weird tracking, but on female characters and then anyone with a privileged sidestep, this will always miss. On regular characters, this will tag them sometimes. In terms of special gameplay, Yoshi can flash everything besides the boot 1 and the dual boot forward 1+2. So flash is a pretty good option to select there. And she'll basically always be airborne, so even if he has his sword in his hand, regular flash will still result in a float combo. Next, let's talk about Anna. Anna's an interesting one because she has a bunch of moves that will go into stance, but if she's in any of her stances, she's in all of her stances, which is very annoying. So, while she's in Hammer Chance, she can go into Chaos Judgment. While she's in Hammer Chance, she can go into Crouch. She can press 3 to go into Chaos Judgment. When she's in Chaos Judgment, she can, she's going to loop all of her stances with each other, which means that every time she is in any of these, you are holding a 100-way mix-up, and it's very, very annoying. So, keep that in mind. Now, first, we'll talk about Hammer Chance. She can get in with down back 4. If she does down back 4, you want to sidewalk right and hope the load doesn't come out. You can try to sidewalk right duck this. The only issue is if you don't time it right, you will start getting tagged by some of the stuff. The 3 and the 4 will still tag you no matter what, but you will avoid everything else. The throw will also tag you if she presses on immediate timing, but that is a 1+2 break, so just be ready to break that. Now, if she enters on 0, or if she enters on +1, so up and down forward 1, 2, or 2, then you want to sidewalk right, duck, and then rip a 13-frame punish. Now, sounds very, very hard, and it is if you're not used to the timing, but this will actually beat every single option except the 4 because the 4 is a homing mid. So, let's cycle through all the options. This is the 1. This is 2-1. This is 2-2. This is 1+2. This is 3. You see, he actually ducked the 3 in time. And you will get hit by the 4, of course, but you will also sidestep and punish the grab. So that is like the lowest risk possible, and you still get a decent reward, especially if you're playing like Kazuya or Eddy, who have a 13-frame launcher. So really, really good stuff. If you are playing Lili or Alisa, you will actually completely sidewalk the 4 as well. So if you're really locked in, you can actually react to the low, in which case you'll just be able to sidewalk right react and beat that mix-up every single time. There's no risk that you ever have to take. If you want to mash on this stance, you want to mash with a 12-frame mid. If you mash with anything else, if you mash with a high, this will go under it, and you'll get counter hit, and this will just straight up hit you. So if you have a 12-frame mid, you can mash here. Leroy especially has a really good Anna matchup because you can mash a back 1+2, and if she presses literally anything, she'll get counter hit launched. And if she goes for the throw, this is a 1+2 break, so Leroy can just blindly mash a back 1+2 if he thinks he's going to go for a mix. If Anna goes into full crouch, 1, if she just crouches in your face, you want to on reaction sidewalk left, that will beat everything. if Anna does this and you block it, so she used this like an Oki situation. So, you know, she like launches you and then does this and then does this. Then you just want to get up and sidewalk left. But typically, if you block this, then she is +5. You still want to sidewalk left. That's going to beat most things. Full crouch down forward 1. Full crouch down forward 2. While standing 2. While standing 1+2. 3+4. Up 4. Up 3. And QCF 2-1. You will get hit by QCF 1. You'll get hit by while standing 1-2. You'll get hit by while standing 3. And you will get hit by while standing 4. You will also get hit by up forward 2. So, yeah, that is the full crouch mix. If you are playing Lili or Alisa, you will sidewalk left everything. So, yeah, there's no mix up there, which is very, very nice. Finally, let's talk about Heihachi. Now, if she gets in on +4, which she gets from this, you have to hold the mix up. Basically, everything's going to hit you except the armor and the hop kick. So, unfortunate, it is what it is. If she gets in on 0, which you will get from here, then you can actually sidewalk right quite a few of these options. You will step the 1. You will step 2-1. You will get hit by 1+2. You will get hit by 3+4. You'll step 3-2. And you will step the armor. So that is good stuff. You will also step the hop kick. You will step the roll 3, but you will not step 4. Roll 4 is homing on everyone except Lili or Alisa. You will also get hit by down 3-3. This is homing on everyone except Lili and Alisa as well. Lili and Alisa will step the entire stance here, except the second hit of down 3-3. That's the only thing that they can't step. So, sidewalk right, great stuff here. The good thing about Armor King is we don't have a whole lot to talk about. The bad thing is, because you have to guess. The only way he's really getting into stance is on +8. So, that's a big number. You know, on +8, 1-2 is going to hit you. The AI will step this. You cannot step this in a real game. It might be theoretically possible on player 2 side, but you cannot step this in a real game. So, despite the bot stepping that, you can't do that in a real game. We also have 2-4. You will get hit by this. 1+2. You will evade that, which is good. Forward 1+2. You will evade that, which is good. The armor, you will evade that, which is good. Heihachi kick will still hit you, and you do have to break both of these throws yourself. You will not step them. So, yeah. Unfortunately, if he goes into stance, you're taking a guess, because you do get to step the 2 big pressure options, which is very, very good, especially when he is in heat, but you don't get to step anything else. So, yeah. Sorry. Next, since Asuka doesn't have a stance, we're just going to talk about Azucena, so cool. The biggest thing to know about Azucena is she has some very lopsided matchups because her stance either has no counterplay or has a ton of counterplay depending on the character that she is playing against. So the special cases are going to be Lili, Alisa, and Yoshimitsu, so we'll talk about them as they come up. First, let's talk about Libertador. Now, Libertador on +3 is fine. You can do a size up left duck and you will beat the jab. So you see here, you'll beat the jab. That is the one option. You will beat the 1+2, which is a wanter. You can, with very good timing, duck that high. So that's a 3 for the +4. The low will whiff, which is the 3. The power mid will whiff. That is the down 3. The hell sweep will whiff, which is good. But you'll get tagged by the 4. So you'll get hit by the 4, of course. That's just a pressure mid. She can stay in Libertador. And the 2 is pretty much homing, at least against most of the cast. So, yeah, you still get hit by quite a few things, but you're evading more than half the stance with a sidewalk left duck. Now, on +4, which she gets from while standing 3 and up 4, 3+4. There's no counterplay here. You have to guess. So the 2, this will hit you regardless of what side you step to. The 1+2 will hit you regardless of what side you step to. This becomes a little bit tighter in terms of how much room you have to make. And even if you could theoretically step, it doesn't matter because that moves homing. So You know, you're not stepping that. The low poke will hit. You will step this, but why would you when everything else is hitting you? And the pressure mid still hits, and of course, now the health hits. So, yeah, really, really rough if you're playing a normal character. Now, if you are playing Yoshimitsu, you can spin the entire stance besides the homing high. You specifically have to left spin, so I believe that is back 3. If you're playing Lili or Alisa, you can sidewalk left the entire stance and then just duck the high and duck the hell sweep, you know, as they come up. The hell sweep will miss Lili 99% of the time. So cool. It will very rarely hit Alisa, depending, but no, again, just keep that in mind. If you're looking for the hell sweep, you can actually see it. It has a very unique animation, so be on the lookout for that. Next, let's talk about back turn. She's typically getting in on +4. She'll get that from 4-1. She'll get that from down back 3, and she will get that from flip kick back. So all of these situations, she will be +4. And on +4, you can sidewalk right the 1. You can sidewalk right the 2. Lili and Alisa will be able to sidewalk right the 1+2. Everyone can sidewalk right the 3+4. That is a launcher, so be careful about that one. No one can sidewalk right the low, but this has an ultra unique animation, so you can react to this if you're really locked in. And no one can step this mid kick to the left, which will give this. It doesn't give anything guaranteed, but it does wall splat, so keep that in mind. If you are playing Yoshi, you can flash the entire stance. There's nothing she can do, even if she does the grab, so she can do her regular default grabs from back turn. That's just a 1 or a 2 break, either or. Yoshi can flash literally everything. Nothing Azucena can do about it, so that is really good. Yoshi can also spin everything if he really wanted to. I believe he can spin everything left, but don't quote me on that. There's no reason to spin when you can just flash. Beyond that, exclusively Lili, if she wants to, she can go left. She will still get hit by the 1, and she will get hit by the 2, which this does a command throw, basically. So it looks like this. She will get hit by this, but she will evade the 3, she will evade the 4, she will evade the 1+2, and she will evade the 3+4. So Lili actually has a choice in which direction she can go in based on which move she thinks is coming. But yeah, everyone else has to go right. Yoshi can flash. Now, Brian doesn't have traditional stances. Instead, he has this back sway and he has this forward sway. His back sway on block is not a mix-up. First, it's not a mix-up because the second hit going into back sway is always a high. So yeah, make sure you're ducking that. But if you sidestep right duck, then you will beat everything. So the sidewalk right will beat the cannon. It will beat the 2-4. You'll duck the hatchet. And the soccer ball kick will miss. So, cool. There is no mix-up here. You never have to worry about that. Obviously, you should just duck the second hit, but you're mostly going to be seeing this as a punish. So, keep that in mind. If Brian does a forward sway mix, you want to sidewalk right. For forward sway, which he gets off of back 3, he can get in on +1. A sidewalk left block will beat the entire stance. So, you will beat the while standing 1. You'll beat sway 2. All of the options. You will block the sway 1+2. You'll step the while standing 3. And you will step the sway 4. So, yeah, pretty easy stuff here with Brian. Funny enough, I just talked about Clive and how this stance has a ton of counterplay, so this is going to be very, very quick. If Clive transitions into stance severely plus, so with the wall running 2, then you kind of have to guess, but crouch jab is okay there. If he transitions on +6, then you want to hop kick. But he shouldn't be transitioning on +6 because you can duck those second hits. So, cool. Keep that in mind. If he transitions on anything less than +6, you can hop kick or crouch jab to beat most options. So if he does this, crouch jab will beat everything except armor, and hop kick will beat everything except the armor and the 2. So you will get floated if he does the 2 option, which is good or bad. If he knows you're gonna hop kick, he might pick the 2-1, and then he gets like a real combo here. So yeah, this can be a bad thing, but a 47 damage float isn't that bad, given that this is getting launched. This is getting launched. This is getting launched. This is getting launched. And the throw is getting launched. If he heat smashes here, he does get a full meter, but you take 23 damage. Seems good. So that is that. Also, if you do hop kick on +6, which again, you shouldn't ever be holding a +6 mix-up. But if you do hop kick on +6, then you do actually trade with the armor. So, cool. Let's talk about if he transitions on minus frames. Hop kick will beat everything except armor. Crouch jab will beat everything except armor. So, let's show it. The armor will do 41 damage, so that is good stuff for Clive. The 2 option will get launched, and we already know if the 2 option gets launched, then everything else is getting launched. And the heat smash is also getting launched. So there is that. We also have the 4th hit of this string. The heat smash is still getting launched. The armor is still beating us. And we still launch the 2. Alright, let's talk about Devil Jin. This is going to be super quick. If he goes in Morning Crow, he is +11. And he has this 1 option. This will whiff to a sidewalk left. Everything else will track left completely. We have a homing button. That's a heat engager. We have this unblockable. This will do 12 damage and burn some of your gray health. I don't know exactly how much gray health it burns, but do keep in mind it does burn your gray health. 3, this is a homing launcher that is safe. And we have 4, it's kind of a mix-up on block, but not really. Basically, whenever you get hit by this, if you see the empty flip, you want to just launch it. And if he does this, you want to launch after that 2nd hit. Again, there is no mix-up there. So yeah, if you have a hard read on the 1, you want to step, otherwise you just stand block. If he is in heat, be on the lookout for the 1+2, because this is a command throw that is an unblockable high. So you do want to duck that. If he is in heat, you want to think about ducking. And ducking isn't too bad because this is a special mid. So that actually won't launch you if you're crouching. That's pretty much it for Devil Jin. He cannot transition into fly on block. So if you see him fly, it is a manual fly, and you can sidewalk in either direction to beat it. Next, let's talk about Dragunov. We're going to talk about Dragunov's full crouch because it's kind of a stance because he has a lot of like safe buttons from it. So, and you know, there is a mix-up because we have the full crouch low here. So basically, Dragunov does down 2. He has a -1. Sidewalk left beats everything. There is no mix-up here. 1-2 will whiff. 1-3 will whiff. 2 will whiff. 1+2 will whiff. While standing 3 will whiff. While standing 4 will whiff. Full crouch down forward 1 will whiff. So there is no mix-up here. Now, when Dragunov goes into sneak, the biggest ways you're going to see him go into sneak are off of this, in which case you want to sidewalk right if you think the QCF1 is coming out, if you think the QCF4 is coming out. Unfortunately, the 2 will launch you, the 1+2 will hit you, and the slide will also hit you. So that is unfortunate. The armor will also hit you as well. So you are getting tagged by quite a few things. On +10, which he gets from his 10-frame punish, you can't set any of this. However, what a lot of Dragunovs do is they're pretty lazy with their offense, and they'll do 2-1 into QCF3. If you think that is going to happen, you can armor. So, cool. That's pretty much it. If he transitions on block, you can either interrupt if you wanted to, or you can just sidewalk, and then I believe you'll beat everything. Yeah, you don't have to hold this if you block it. I actually forgot to cover a pigeon roll, so let's cover this. First, if he does in the neutral, you just want to launch this on reaction. This is very much like Lily's Feisty Rabbit, where if you see her do Feisty Rabbit neutral, you just want to put her in the air for it. So, very, very simple. If he does his wall combo on you, you can either stand up and guess or lay on the ground. I will show you what happens if you lay on the ground for all 3 options. So this is the mid. If you lay on the ground, the mid will flip you over. This is the low. You lay on the ground, it'll go over your head. If you are playing a character with a launcher on their wall standing 3 specifically, you can tap up, and after your character gets up, you will press 3 and it will do your wall standing 3. So I believe this is a Lili, Fahkumram, and a June. There may be other characters that can also launch it. I'm not 100% sure, but those 3 for sure can do this. The same thing is true of the throw. You can just tap up during the getting up animation. You can press your 3 and that will launch it. So yeah, that's Pigeonhole. Let's talk about Eddy. Unfortunately, I have bad news. For both of his stances, you kind of just have to guess, which is very unfortunate. If we look at the handstand, if he's on a +6, you actually have a decent amount of counterplay because you can step the 1 to the right. You will step the second hit of 3-3, so you'll be able to launch that string. But you will get hit by 4-2, that will wall spot you. 2-3 will also wall spot you. You will step the armor, but he's +6, so I don't know why he'd be armoring. And you also step the back 4, which is a launcher with 2 stacks, so that's good stuff. The backswing blow, obviously, you will step that. But the hell sweep, you will not. So, yeah, that's on +6, and you're only stepping like a little bit less than half of the stuff. On +8, you can only step the 1, and you can only step the back 4. Everything else will track you on +8. So you kind of just have to guess, which is unfortunate. Now, if he doesn't have any of his stacks, he doesn't have a low from this stance, so he can only use the grab, which is fine if your back isn't against the wall. So, yeah, not that big of a deal, at least for handstand. Lili and Alisa, they will also be able to step the 2 here. They can step this on +8, but they can't step anything else, so stepping is still kind of sus here, basically no matter what. If he does transition on minus frames, though, you want to use a mid with good tracking. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Nothing super crazy there. That mid will only lose to the armor. So, that's about what you expect. For the relaxed stance, the best way he can get in on this stance is 4-4-3. This stance is a nightmare if you do not block this move. This is a move that you really want to lab blocking on reaction because of the hell sweep from the stance. This requires clean hit to knock down. So you can see here that with clean hit, Jin was airborne when the second hit actually tagged him in midair. Why is that important? Well, if we have Jin backdash after something like this, even though this is also +6, he doesn't get clean hit here. What does that mean? Well, if we do something like this, where we go into stance from back here, you see here we can actually block the second hit, which is -13. So because that is the only low from that stance, you can actually just backdash the entire thing. As a consequence, there are 2 moves you really want to look out for, and that is this, because you can no longer backdash after that because of the clean hit, and it is the handstand 1, because again, you can no longer backdash because of the clean hit. So yeah, in terms of the options from relaxed stance, you can't sidestep anything. No character can sidestep anything besides the 1+2. So this move has pretty poor tracking, and it's also -8 on block. So like, you would kind of rather just block that no matter what. But yeah, there's not super great counterplay here. You just kind of have to guess, which is unfortunate. Do note, I don't see that many people punish this. The 1-3 here is -14 on block. So, yeah, make sure you're taking a 14 frame punish. He does recover in crouch, though, so be very careful about what punish you use. Unfortunately, with Fahkumram, there's a pretty nasty bug that makes it so that the preferred counterplay that some of the more privileged sidesteps could get. So this is every character with a better sidestep. So Dragunov, Armor King, Alisa, Lili, Zafina, Miary Zo. I think there's a couple more. All these characters with privileged sidesteps, you would think that they would be able to do something like a sidestep right duck to evade the 3-4 mix. So if we do something like this, you can do a sidestep right duck to go under that. But the 3-4, this tracks exceptionally well if you're crouching. So I'm going to bring up Lili to illustrate what is actually going on here. So now I'm here with Lili. Now, what happened with Jin was I had Jin do a sidewalk right duck. The sidewalk was there so he could actually get enough distance to evade the 3-4-3, at least supposedly, but also be able to duck the 3-4-4. So now I have Lili here. We're just going to have her do a side step right. You'll see that this single side step right is enough to evade the 3-4-3. So now I recorded her doing a side step right duck. So just to show you what it looks like, you can see here, the blue spark will go over her head. Now, you would think that because of this movement option, she should be able to evade both. Because she is crouching, she will get tagged by the mid. For some reason, this mid's hitbox will basically always hit you if you're crouching in order to like effectively option select this. So if you tried to do a real option select, it just doesn't work because what seems to be a bug with the hitbox. So because of that, this is a pure guess every single time. You have to guess whether or not he's going to do the home and high. You have to guess whether or not it's going to be 3-1. And you have to guess whether or not it's going to be the charge, which is unfortunate. It's a 3-way guess, a 4-way if you include just 3-4. It's a 4-way guess every single time, regardless of what character you're playing. Unlucky, it is what it is. The only exception to this is Steve, so I will be right back with Steve. So Steve has the luxury of turning this mix-up from a 4-way mix-up into a 3-way mix-up. If Fahkumram does 4, if he does the 3-4-4 here, Steve can right weave and go under it. If he does 3-4-3, Steve can right weave and evade it. If he does 3-4-3 back, we can evade it. 3-4-3 down, we'll get hit, and Fahkumram can't charge the hell sweep even if he wanted to with his install. I'll actually turn on his install just so I can show it. But if we try to do this, we will get hit out of it. So, yes, Steve can completely option select the entire thing. It's actually kind of similar with the down forward 1. So if we do down forward 1-4, Steve can weave this with very good timing. It's not consistent. Steve has to like mash his weave here. But if he mashes weave, or if there is even a slight delay in this knee here, Steve will be able to weave that. Then obviously, if Fahkumram does that, Steve will be able to weave. So all that is super, super good. Additionally, if Fahkumram does the 3-1, what Steve can do is he can flash duck weave. And this is what that'll look like. Here's 3-1-2, 3-1-4, and 3-1 down. So, yeah, Steve never has to hold like any of this. There's basically a 50-50 of whether or not he finishes it. If he just does a 3-4, personally, I would just get hit by the 3-4 every single time. That's me, but it is what it is. If Steve thinks it's a 3-4 mix, he does the instant sway. If he thinks it's a 3-1 mix, he ducks into instant sway. And yeah, that is Fahkumram. Basically, all the same counterplay applies for forward 3-2. If he finishes the string, whatever, you just let him finish it. But if he goes for a mix-up, you let him run the mix-up. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Fahkumram. Rama stance is a reward stance. As such, you kind of just have to guess, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. All right, let's talk about Feng. He actually has 4 stances, so this might take a little bit longer, but you know, we have to go through all of it. So let's start with his crouch dash. When Feng is in crouch dash, he can manually transition on +4 with shifting clouds 2, and he can transition on +6 with a back 3 down forward. After this, you kind of have to guess. You will be able to step the 2, and you will be able to step the 1+2, but you can't step the while standing 4, and you can't step the while standing 3, and also the CD1 will still hit you. So be careful of those moves. Now, if we're on +4, it's meaningfully better because you will actually be able to step the while standing 3 launcher, which that move recovers basically instantly. That's very hard to punish. But yeah, that is the deal for crouch dash. You basically just kind of want to sidestep left block or sidestep left and just eat the low. Personally, I don't ever duck this low. I don't think it's worth it. Next, we have back turn. The easiest way into back turn is full crouch down forward 4. That's typically the way Feng is going to get into back turn. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's go through the options. You cannot step the 1, it's too fast. The down 1, you will step with sidestep left. The 2, you will step. The 1+2, you will step. The 3, you will step. And the down 3, you can actually duck. So yeah, sidestep left duck will beat everything besides the jab, and it also won't beat the generic back turn 4. I believe every character has that move. So yeah, there's only 2 moves that won't be beat by a sidestep left duck, which is good stuff. Surprising amount of counterplay for this character. Do note that you can also crouch jab everything on +3, and there's nothing that Feng can do about it, as he has no jumping moves from back turn. So really, really good stuff. Next, let's talk about shifting clouds. This is also a stance that we can sidestep, but there are quite a few options that are still going to tag us, so do keep that in mind. We'll have Jin set to side walk left, because side walking here is a little bit better, but on the +8, he only ever goes in on +8. On hit, on block, it doesn't matter, it's always +8. On +8, the armored mid that launches will whiff, and the 1+2, which is a knockdown mid, will whiff. The issue, though, is that we have this 2 option. This will track us. We have the 4, which is a hatchet kick, and we have the 3, which is a homing high. So if I can show the 3, that is a homing high. So regular characters kind of have to guess, because you can't step the 14 frame high, you can't step the hatchet, and you can't step the armor, obviously. If you are playing Alisa or Lili, you will be able to sidewalk left duck to beat everything every single time, because you will naturally sidewalk the jab while being able to duck the homing high and the hatchet kick. So yeah, really, really good stuff here. You can also armor if you are a regular character, but the hatchet kick, like it's literally just a Brian hatchet kick, you will get a guaranteed hit if you end up getting hit by it. So be very, very careful. Finally, let's talk about Kempo. Kempo is a weird one. If you have a good backdash, then you just want to backdash this stance. That's pretty much it. If you do not have a good backdash like Jin, then you kind of have to guess, because the Hell Sweep will tag you. Now, keep in mind that Kempo is an evasive stance, so if Feng is like using it back here, you just don't ever want to contest this. This recovers basically instantly. As soon as he like resets to neutral, he can block. So this is very, very hard to whiff punish, so keep that in mind. But he can transition from 1 move, which is down, back, 1 back. You'll be +7 here, and backdashing will be to everything besides the 1, which is this low. So yeah, that is one option. We have this high heat engager. You will block this with your backdash. The 3, you will block this with your backdash, and it's -14. That is a launcher. The Hell Sweep, if you have a regular or good Hell Sweep, mostly on the better side, so you know, Alisa, Jack, stuff like that. If you have a good Hell Sweep, you will be able to backdash that, and it'll just completely miss. So that is good stuff. And we also have the 3+4, which is this. You'll just block that, and then you can just launch it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's Feng. Next, let's talk about Heihachi. Heihachi has 2 stances, and it is Wind God Kame and Thunder God Kame. Wind God Kame is this one that you get from forward 4, and Thunder God Kame is this one. He can just hold this indefinitely. So cool, that's the difference between the 2. For Wind God Kame, he's typically getting in around +4. For this one, you want to sidestep, right, duck, react. That's a lot, but it's going to make sense when I explain it. So this is just the typical frames he's going to get it in on. With the sidestep right duck, we will catch the 1-1. We will have to stand back up for the 1-2. So if we don't see just that instant overhead, we quickly stand back up. The electric will whiff. The stomp will be blocked, which is -14. The hunting hawk, that will just whiff, so he's just dead. You will duck the throw. And then there is this homing armor. The homing armored mid, this is basically impossible to react to. But if you react to the white flash, then you could just like stand back up and potentially block it. So it is what it is. If you have a privileged sidestep, your step right duck will just beat everything every single time. There's no risk. I forgot to record it, but this counterplay will also beat the Hell Sweep. So yeah, there is literally no mix-up here ever, besides whether or not he's going to do the armor. Keep that in mind. If you are playing Yoshi, you can flash every single option besides the armor and hunting hawk, which is huge. So again, make sure you're applying this appropriately. For Thunder God Kame, there are basically 3 different situations you can get put in. You can get put in on +6, in which case, crouch jab beats everything. Even this one option, which is a jumping move, crouch jab will beat this too. So let me just have Jin do a crouch jab, and you will see that this will beat everything. There's nothing Heihachi can do about this. Yeah, so crouch jab will beat literally everything on +6. On more than +6, you have to guess, because the tracking is so good that, you know, there's just not a whole lot you can do. So basically, if he hits you going into stance, then he has +6. All that's left is Thunder God Kame. This one's an easy one. If he transitions on minus frames, he has launch. So here I will go into stance and try to block. Can't do it, which means I have to press to get out of stance, and I will get launched every single time. If I transition on exactly +6, then crouch jab will be everything, even the jumping move. So we'll have Jin set to crouch jab here. And yeah, we will do the running headbutt, and it will beat the jumping move. It'll beat the 2. It'll beat the 3. And it'll beat the 4. If we are on more than +6, it's time to guess. Pretty much it. Very simple stance to deal with. Hwoarang is not a character that I can give you a universal, here's what you do against each stance, because there are just too many options from each stance, and he has something to cover everything. What I will say is you typically want to pick a couple of situations and have counterplay for those, and then just block for the rest of it, which is unfortunate, but that's just kind of how this character works, having such a vast move list and having so many over-dimensioned moves. Obviously, the Season 3.0.2 nerfs have been very, very nice, but I just want to be real with you guys. This character is hard to defend against no matter how good you are. So the first situation is this +4. He has a couple of moves that go into the stance, but this is very recognizable. He does the same yell whenever he goes into the stance. You want to sidewalk left block. Sidewalk left will cover the jab. It'll cover the 2. But if he does a 2-1 here, then you will be able to block that, which is nice. It'll cover the 1+2. This is the new move. You'll cover that. It'll cover 3-3. It'll cover back 3. It'll cover forward 3. It will cover down 3-4. Cool. So, you know, this is a lot of stuff. It'll cover 4. It will not cover forward 4 because that's homing, obviously. It will cover up forward 4, and it will not cover the down 4. So yeah, just step towards his chest. Really good stuff. Nothing super crazy there. Specifically, you want to sidestep block, because I will also cover the homing move, which if I remember correctly is -13. Yeah, it's -10. So yeah, cool. That is how you deal with that move. The only other move, because one of the issues with Hwoarang is if you get hit by this, you have to guess because he's +14. So it is what it is. The only other situation I think is worth talking about is the down back 4 situation. So this is another one where if he goes into stance here, then you want to step again toward his chest, but you have to be careful of the flappy kicks. So we will do a sidewalk right, and let's go through the options. This is the 1. This is the 2. That's 1+2. That's 3. That's back 3. That's forward 3. Again, this is a homing move, so you'll get tagged like that. That's why you want to block. Floppies will catch you, but the third hit, you know, you can just block that or just duck it. And 3-4, you will be able to step that pretty reliably. So yeah, I mean, it's good stuff. Just step towards his chest basically both times. Do a step block to cover the homing mids, and you're good to go. Nothing super crazy here. He can also do this down 3-3. No Hwoarang ever finishes this. So you can duck this if you see this first hit. I have never seen a Hwoarang finish it. Obviously, I play in God 3, so it is what it is. But just keep that in mind. If they do that, then they can finish it. So just throw in a duck every now and then, and you'll be good. So Jack is a very, very easy if you're playing Lili or Alisa, because you will sidewalk up and block, and you will answer literally everything. If you're a regular character, then it's a little bit harder. So we'll just go through all the options. On this +4, you will block the homing move. Forward 1, you will block. It's -17 will push back, but most characters should be able to get a decent punish on that. Forward 2 will completely lift. 2 will tag you sometimes. It depends again on your character side sets, but that is plus 11 on block, and of course it is a guard break and heat. 1 plus 2, you will avoid. 3 plus 4, you will just block, and it's minus 13. The 3, you will also block here, but again, you're safe. And the 4, you will step. So yeah, Lili and Alisa, they can do that, and they'll beat literally everything. Every other character, they do have to worry about whether or not the guard break is coming, but if he's not in heat, or if he doesn't have it installed, you can just chill. Do note that on this plus 8, you have to guess. Every single character has to guess. Next, we'll talk about Jin. The counterplay to both of his stances, not including the Omen stance, of course, but to both of the stances is actually basically the same, which is kind of cool. So we'll go over that. The first of which we have is his Zen stance. He's almost exclusively getting in on this plus 2, at least on block. If he hits you in the stance, you have to guess. It is what it is. But on block here, he is plus 2, and you want to do a sidestep right block. Now, you will still get hit by the low from the stance, assuming you can't react to this. Most people can't, so don't feel bad. But yeah, you will block everything else. So here is the 1 option. Here's Samsara. This is the homing high. You will block that. The 1 plus 2 will hit you for 30 damage. The 3 plus 4, you will block it, but he'll fly so far away that's reset to neutral. The 4, which is or the 3 rather, that's a homing mid. You will block that. The 4 will whiff. Cool. And the grab will also whiff. You can also do a sidestep right duck, and you will just change what you're getting hit by. So if you do a sidestep right duck, you will duck this, and you will block this and punish it, but you will get tagged by this, which is not good, and you will get tagged by this. So yep, you're just kind of choosing what you're getting hit by, but those are the options that you are looking at. As for his crouch dash, his best way of transitioning is typically going to be on plus 2. This is just going to be one of the safest ways for him to transition. The same thing is true. Like, he can do this, but this is minus, you know, cool. If he transitions minus on block, or from a feint, then you can just sidestep right, and you'll beat everything with a sidestep right block. If he transitions plus, again, plus 2 is the number you're really looking for. On plus 2, a sidestep right block will block the launcher. You'll step the electric. You'll block the homing mid. You will get hit by wall standing 4, but you don't see that option too much, but you will get hit by it, so do be aware of that. And you will get hit by the hell sweep, which is important on floor break stages, so do keep that in mind. But yeah, decent amount of counterplay here, despite how powerful this string is. I don't know if there should be a mid that's plus 2. On more than plus 2, you mostly have to guess, unless you're playing Lili or Alisa. Yeah, and that is the same with the crouch dash stance. On more than plus 2, you kind of have to guess unless you're playing those 2 characters, which is unfortunate. Now, if we look at his Omen stance, which he gets when he is in heat, we have this 1, which on normal hit, this doesn't really do anything crazy. So we can see here, this will knock you down into a CD1, which that does matter. That's not nothing, but this doesn't do anything like super crazy. So that will be guaranteed. We also have the 2. This is a mid electric. So if you do, it's a special mid rather. So if you press in any way, then that will launch you. And it's also fast enough that on certain frames, it will beat your armored attempt. So be careful there. We have the 3. This is a jumping mid launcher. Cool. You can just block that. We have down forward 3. This is a jumping low. That's much slower and it's launch punishable. So if you're locked in, then you can actually just duck that on reaction. And we have 4, which is a hell sweep, 35 damage, only minus 14 on block. And yeah, that's Omen stance. You kind of just want to block at all tracks. So I think the only thing it doesn't track is the down forward 3 and the 3, but everything else tracks. So yeah, kind of just have to block there. But it's not too bad because there isn't like a huge reward here for you just blocking and guessing wrong. Up next is the final boss, Jun Kazama. Her stances actually have a decent amount of counterplay, but they do require relatively high level defense, which is kind of annoying. So if she goes into a Zumo, normally speaking, she is +4 on block. And you will be able to step all the options. That's 1-1, that is 2, that's 1+2, that's the 3. The only option you'll get tagged by, that's also the throw. You'll get tagged by the Hell Sweep, so reasonably, you can sidewalk left, duck, and that will beat literally everything. Super, super good. The only issue is that Azumo is different from this one. When she does this one now tracks really, really well. So because that one tracks well, you kind of just have to guess there if you're not playing Lili or Alisa, which is incredibly annoying. So it is what it is. If we take a look at Genjutsu, we can sidestep left to block in order to beat everything except the knockdown mid, which is the 3-2, I believe. Yeah, this is a kick confirmable. It knocks down. I also believe it wall splats from certain distances, so that's annoying. Lili and Alisa will be able to sidestep left duck to beat that every single time, but regular characters, they do have to kind of guess. If you want a safer option, you can practice a fuzzy duck, where all of the mids will come out at 16 frames, or 17 in that case, but the low is 20 frames and the homing high is 26 frames. So if with a very precise fuzzy duck, you can actually just evade the entire stance, but it is what it is. You either want a fuzzy duck or you want to do a sidestep left duck. With that being said, you do actually see this option quite a lot. So yeah, that being, in my opinion, one of the most common options, it does mean that the sidestep left duck on regular characters is a little bit worse. Finally, let's talk about Miary. This has the same exact transitions as Genjutsu, except it's June holding back instead of holding forward. So same exact frames, +9 or +1 or 0. Fortunately, we have a bunch of counterplay here. So basically, no matter what, you just want to crouch jab, and then you're going to beat everything except a laser on +9, and you'll beat everything on 0. So that's the launcher, that's laser, and that is the high crush advancing homing mid that's +4 on block. I don't like that move. But yeah, crouch jab will beat everything on +1 rather, and on +9, we actually still beat the launcher, and we still beat the homing mid. So yeah, the only thing we don't beat is laser. This is pretty risky to use given that it is -20 on block. Also, a lot of you guys don't know this, so I am just going to show you here. This isn't really a stance guide, or this isn't part of the stance guide rather, but you guys don't know this, so let me just show you. That's a punish. So I thought the Kazuya section was going to be more interesting, but unfortunately it is not. After blocking the sidestep 1+2, you can crouch jab literally everything. So we'll set this to punish. That is the Omen. That's the Electric. That's the Hell Sweep. That's Wall Standing 3. That's Hell Lancer. This is CD 1+2. And I think that's it. Oh, we also have Wall Standing 4-4. This will beat a crouch jab, but that's a big risk for Kazuya to take because he's launch punishable. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that. We also have Devil Stomp. So Devil Stomp hits literally full screen. Yeah, you can see here this is from like range 3.3. This is launch punishable if you block it, which is cool because this has like a reactable animation. The only issue is Kazuya doesn't have to transition if he doesn't want to. So he can see that you've blocked it, and then he's like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna chill. And then he is -19, but unless you're playing Fahkumram, this is not launch punishable. But if he transitions on block, then you can obviously launch him. If he transitions on hit, you see this +11. Yeah, you have to hold the mix. So yeah, pretty boring that there isn't really robust counterplay or anything, but cool. Sides at 1+2, you can crouch jab. The Devil Stomp if you get hit, it's time to guess. So King is a character that technically has counterplay to his stances, but that's cringe and we don't care about that. We're going to try to blow him up every single time he goes into stance. So let's talk about Jaguar Step first because this is the easiest one. If he does one Jaguar Step, everything is homing. So we're not going to try to step, but a lot of the high payoff options are high. So something to keep in mind is that you'll see a lot of Jaguar Step back, and if they go back, they almost always press the 2 button. You just want to whiff punish this. If they go forward, it's usually going to be a chain throw, so you see a lot of this. Those are the two big options I would look for, but this option has a lot of highs that are really high payoff, so you can just duck if he approaches you with it, and that's totally fine. Now, let's talk about Jaguar Sprint. Jaguar Sprint is, there are two counterplays you want to do. If King runs at you from full screen, you want to rip your longest range counter hit launcher as soon as he points. This is especially good on Lili. I don't know how many other characters is good for, because her full forward 4, not only is it a long range counter hit launcher, but if it hits airborne, it will instant tornado them. So whenever I see a King do this, I just rip a forward 4. But, you know, find out what your character's options are. Rip your longest range counter hit launcher, that's the best bet. If King is in heat, you want to wait a couple of frames after he points, and then you want to throw. He is armored the entire time he is in this stance. So that is good stuff. He has a couple of airborne options, so if you are either in the King mirror, you're playing Armor King, or you're playing Lars, was an air throw, then grabbing him here in general is okay. If you have a launching throw like Law or Xiaoyu, King cannot break that throw, so that is really good. If he lands this, you have to hold this mix-up. If he lands this, you have to hold the mix-up. If he lands, this, you have to hold the mix-up. All right, let's get into the bears and what they're up to. First, we have Hunting Bear stance. Unfortunately, most of the stance is homing. Yeah, so we'll cycle through the options just so you know what you're getting hit by, what you're dodging. You are dodging quite a few things, but most of the stance is homing. 1, 2, this will hit you for 33 damage. 2, this low is completely homing. Not a single character can step this. It is launch if you do block it, but he does recover in crouch, so it can be difficult for certain characters to punish. We have 1+2. This is a launcher. This is -15 on block. Also homing. Cool. Because of the range of just how far away Kuma's hitting you from, this could be relatively difficult to launch, but it is -15, so that's cool. 3+4. This is an armored power crush, -14. Again, we're still not stepping any of this, so all this is hitting us so far. Down forward 1, this is a homing mid. We will block that. That will wall spot you though, so be careful. We will step the down forward 2. That is another launcher. That is -17 on block. We will step the down 1+2. That is just a safe mid. It's a counter hit launcher, which is cool. +4 on hit, -3 on block. And we will step the back 1+2, back 1+2, which is this roll. They do recover on the, they're considered floating. If you hit them while they're rolling, if you wait for them to stand up, then they will be standing, though you will be getting a back launch. Yeah, so you can see a sidestep right block was not great, but it does technically let you evade a couple of moves. So, you know, it is what it is. If you want to contest this stance, you are still losing to a couple of things. Mainly, the down forward 2 will still launch you. So that will still launch. And the 1-2 will hit you. You'll get hit for like the 35. And then there's obviously this armor. But if you have a 12 frame mid, then you will still lose to 1-2. You will trade with the down forward 2, which if you have a knockback 12 frame mid, so Heihachi, Reina, Lili, and Leroy, his will be considered a counter hit. If you have a knockback mid, then that just fully resets to neutral, meaning that those characters will only lose to a 1-2, and they will lose to an armor. So, cool. The only other thing I forgot to mention is the throw from stance. The throw from stance will also miss, so cool. Yeah, he can transition on better frames from Hunting Bear, but you kind of have to just let him, and that's, you know, you probably shouldn't do that. So if you let him land this 37 frame move, then you have to just hold literally everything. Don't let him do that. You can sidestep that on reaction. As for roll, you should never be blocking this because it is 37 frames. You can sidestep that to either side. So unless they're using it as like an Oki setup, you should never have to block that. If for whatever reason you do block it, you have to guess, unfortunately. Crouch jabbing will be a couple of options, but even outside of heat, he has a launcher that will beat your crouch jab, and he has a move that will go over it because roll 4 is a jumping move. So that will go over your crouch jab, which is very annoying. However, if he transitions literally any other way, crouch jab will float him. So this is all of the options. Yeah. If he is in heat, there is no counterplay because there is a phantom hitbox here that will activate again and it will make it so you can't interrupt this anymore. So, yeah, that's roll. Nothing super crazy here. Finally, there is sit. If you block this, you deserve to hold this mix-up. That's a 34-frame jumping move from a bear. Just sidestep. However, if for whatever reason you have to hold the mix-up, there is a mid here. You can block it. It's -12. There is the double butt slam. That's also -12. And there is the lows. The first low will hit you. If they commit to the second low, you can either block or low parry on reaction. The block will leave you at +11. Up next is Lars. Lars is an interesting character. He's a lot like Anna, where if he is in any of his stances, he is in all of his stances. So that makes attacking this character very, very annoying, but it is what it is. If we think he is going to actually run a mix-up from the first stance he is in, we typically have a good amount of counterplay. First, let's look at dynamic entry. We can typically only get in on minus frames on block. You can't get in on plus frames if you block whatever move that Lars does. So that's very, very good for the defender. Also, the best frames he can get, -2. His fastest move is 12 frames. If you interrupt with a 13-frame move, that will beat everything. You can also do a sidewalk right block, and that will also beat everything. So that's the 1. That's the 2. You will block dynamic entry 3. That's the 4. That's 1 + 2. And that is 3 + 4. So very, very powerful counterplay here. For silent entry, it's a little bit less cool. So we want to sidewalk left against silent entry if Lars enters on +4, which he gets from this. So we can evade the 1. We can evade the 2. And we can evade the... There's one more button. We can evade the 3, which is a launcher. What we cannot evade is the 1 + 2, which is an armor. No reason for him to use it, though. We cannot evade the 3 + 4, which will floor break. And we cannot evade the homing high. So that is very, very annoying. You could do like a sidewalk left block to cover the homing high, but you're still getting hit by the armor and the 0 on block floor breaking mid. What this means is that on +5, you can't actually step anything besides the low. So if I do this, you can still step the low. Let me actually show that before I turn on the armor. So if I do this, you can still step the low, but you can no longer step the 1, and you can no longer step the 3. So on +5, we armor. Armor will be everything besides the low. That's the 1. That's the 1 + 2. That's the 3 + 4. That's the 3. That is the 4. And here is what happens if you try to armor the 2. Yeah, so you'll take quite a bit of damage, but that's not a launch. That used to be a counter launcher. So that's the risk we take. It is what it is. Finally, we have limited entry. This is another interesting one because if Lars goes into limited entry, he doesn't actually have to press anything here, and he's only in the stance for a couple of frames, which means that it's very hard to actually punish anything he does. You have to read whether or not he's going to commit to an option, which is annoying. So keep that in mind. However, if you do think he's going to press something, then you can launch literally everything. He is -6 here. The fastest thing you can do from crouch is a crouch jab, which is 10 frames. You can always launch this if you think he's going to press. Now, if you block this move in the limited entry, he is +4. Let's cycle through some options and see what the deal is. Limited entry 1 will hit everyone. Limited entry 2 will also hit everyone, I believe. Lili might be able to step that one, but I'm 99% sure that limited entry 2 will also hit her. While standing 3 will miss. While standing 4 will miss. Full crouch 1 + 2. The first hit will miss, so you can actually low parry the second hit on reaction. Full crouch down forward 2 will whip, which is good. However, while standing 2 will hit. While standing 1 will whiff, which is nice. All of the jumping moves will whiff, so up 2 will whiff. Or up 3 rather, and up 4 will whiff. So, yeah, sidewalk left is good against limited entry if you think he's going to do something. Unfortunately, he can just not, and then we're kind of back to square one, but that's fine. It is what it is. Alright, let's talk about Law. Despite receiving pretty big nerfs, he's still insane, by the way. I don't think he's top 1 anymore, but this character is still nuts. Like, let's not get it twisted. So, let's talk about his DSS stance. These typically the main frames you're going to see are +4 and +16. On +16, you have to hold the back button. Sorry. On +4, if you're playing a regular character, you want to sidestep left to block, and that's going to be your best bet. You are still going to get clipped by a couple of things, but you do evade most of the stance. So, the forward one, whether or not this is blue sparked, the blue spark is actually pretty hard. I don't play Lost, so I don't know the timing for it. Okay, there's the blue spark. So, that tracks to both sides, actually. So, if he blue sparks it, if you're not playing Lili or Alisa, you just have to hold that, which is very annoying for obvious reasons. So, yeah, the forward one, that will track left. The 1 will whiff, it doesn't have any range. The 2 will also hit you. However, you will actually evade everything else, which is nice. For the 1+2, that will whiff. The 3+4, the second hit will whiff, which means that you can duck the last hit, or you can just launch it before the last hit comes out. So that is good stuff. The 3 is a homing high. You will block that though. You have more than enough time to block that. The forward 3, if you blue spark this, this will whiff. Again, I don't have the timing for this, but trust me, if you even if you blue spark this, this will whiff. Yeah, so it'll whiff. The 4 will whiff. The forward 4, even if you blue spark this, this will also whiff. And yeah, that is the full stance. While it can also go into full crouch and reset the situation, but if you are sidewalking to the left, then the while standing 4 will actually whiff. So that's cool. You will block the while standing 3, which, nice. The while standing 2, you will block, that is -18, though there is some weird pushback. And the while standing 1, 2, you should be able to block, so you will also block that. The only issue is that if you commit to a sidestep block, then the slide will hit you, which is unfortunate. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much law. If you're playing Lili or Alisa, you want to sidewalk right block. Now, the sidewalk right block will block everything, of course, but you can also sidewalk right duck, and if you do that, then you will duck under the homing high and be able to launch that, but the nunchuck will hit you. So, you know, there is a 50-50 there if you want to take that 50-50. Otherwise, you can just sidewalk right block and literally everything misses. So, cool. All right, up next is Lee. This one is super simple, which is nice. If you are playing Lili or Alisa, you can sidestep right duck the entire stance every single time, regardless of frames. Cool. If you are everyone else, on +6, you have to block and just take a guess. If he is on +5, take a guess. And if we do this 1+2, sidestep right duck beats everything except for 3 options. So the 1 will be evaded, the 2 will be evaded, the 1+2 will be evaded, 3 will be evaded, 4 will be blocked, the up 4, this will be evaded, and up 3 will be evaded. We also have the entire full crouch mix, but the forward 2-1, this will tag you and wall splat you. It's also confirmable, so that is cool, I guess. From full crouch, we will still evade all of the while standing 1 options. While standing 2-3 and while standing 2-4 will hit us, which is unfortunate, but while standing 4 will miss, which means that the only other button is while standing 3-3, which, yeah, he's -4 on hit. If you block it, he is launched, but he can also go into infinity kicks to try to mix you up from there. Infinity kicks are not very good. We also have the full crouch lows. You will duck these. Yeah. So, cool. That's Lee. All right, let's talk about Leo. So the counterplay to K&K is really going to depend on your reaction time. So let me actually turn off the punish. So if you can react to this K&K 4, then your counterplay to this stance is react. That's literally it. Because we have this 20 frame low, which most people aren't reacting to, and we have this 24 frame low, which that is much more reactable, but it's still pretty hard. So yeah, that's kind of how the stance works. If you have really, really good reactions, you can react. That's the entire stance. If you don't, then you actually want to crouch jab, as that will beat everything except for the hop kick and 1 other button. I don't remember what the other button is. But that's the 1, that's the 2, that's 1+2, that's 3+4. Hop kick will launch you. There's the low. And he can heat burst and I believe the Heat Smash will also be a crouch jab. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's the whole stance. So, nothing super crazy there. If you want to try to step this stance, you don't really have a great button here. Yoshi can flash a couple of options, but nothing is super crazy here. Same thing with Double Jin. They don't have any like super unique things that they can do. Lili and Alisa can do a sidewalk right duck, and they will beat everything besides the 2, which is a counter hit launcher. They will just get tagged by it, and they will not be able to beat the 4 most of the time. So, cool. That's K&K. Next, we have Bach, and this has a pretty similar counterplay to K&K, where basically you just kind of want to crouch jab unless you have a hard read, because the tracking here is really, really good. Let me turn this off. So the issue with the tracking is that we have a true homing high, the 1-2 is exceptionally fast, and the 3+4 tracks on most reasonable frames. Unless Leo is like disgustingly minus, you just can't ever step that. And if he's not minus, then, you know, you should launch him. So, the big thing with this stance is that Leo has 2 main ways of getting into Bach. You're mainly going to see the wall running 3, and then you're going to see back 1, wall 1+2. So with back 1, wall 1+2, you have to decide if you think Leo is going to go into stance here. If you think Leo is going to go into stance, then Leo is launch. If you think Leo is going to do nothing, Leo is -12. So if you have a 12 frame mid, you can just mash that every single time and there's no mix up, especially if it's a mid that's like a knockdown mid. So that's really good. Again, if you're playing Leroy, if you're playing Lili, Reina, Heihachi, if you're playing any of these characters, you can just mash a 12 frame mid if he transitions after this move, and that will beat literally everything. Now, if Leo enters Bach on the wall running 3, then the 1-2, this will launch a crouch jab. The 1+2 is armor, that will beat your crouch jab as well, but you will interrupt the 2. You will trade with the 3+4 and reset to neutral. You will go under the 3, which is funny, and you will interrupt the 4. So that's really, really good stuff. Finally, there is crouch jab. Basically, Leo will either transition excessively plus, in which case you have to hold everything, or it will transition relatively close to neutral, which basically means if you block something that goes into crouch jab besides the heat smash, then you can sidewalk left block, and that will handle the entire stance. So we'll do this. You see this is -1. So we evade the low. We evade 2. We evade while standing 1+2. We block the 3+4. We evade while standing 3. And we evade while standing 4. So, cool. That's Leo. Alright, up next is Leroy. So on reasonable frames, a step left duck is actually very, very effective here. And I'll say reasonable is like +3. On a more than +3, you're kind of just guessing, which is unfortunate, but, you know, it is what it is. So let's cycle through the options. On +3, 1-2 will whiff. He is launched. 2-3 will whiff. He's launched. 3-4, you will duck the first hit. You will then have to, on reaction, block the second hit, which is a -15. Most characters will launch that, which is good. This 4, this is homing. You can't step this under any circumstances, and then he can turn that into a wall splat if he wishes. I don't believe he can confirm this. Yeah, he can't confirm this, so if he rips it, cool, it's -14. But yeah, that will track you no matter what. So keep that in mind. 1+2, 1. The 1+2 will all whiff, and the elbow is actually homing, so you need to stand back up and block that. But you can also launch after the machine gun punches go over your head. It's scary to do so, but once you get the timing down, you'll get it every single time, which is nice. The elbow is -17 on block. Forward 1, this chop will always hit you. This is also homing, but you don't have enough time to create enough space with the sidestep and also duck. You just can't do both. So the forward 1, this will just always hit you, unfortunately. Forward 4, this is an orbital. He has 2 for some reason. That will whiff. He is launched. Back 1, this will whiff. Back 3-2, this is a hell sweep. You will block that. Back 4, you will block that. He is -13 here. Up forward 1, that will whiff. Up forward 2 will whiff. Up forward 3 will whiff. So up 4, for some reason when he's in stance, this tracks left. In neutral, this has no tracking whatsoever. But out of stance, this actually tracks left. So if you commit to the sidestep right duck, or the sidestep left duck rather, then the up 4 will tag you, so just be careful about that. Finally, we have the up 4, 3+4, 1+2. So you will get clipped by this first hit, but you will be able to launch here before the second hit comes out. So yeah, that is every option we can do out of stance. We can also do the Omni Parry, and we can do the back 2. The back 2 will also be evaded. So that's +3. On a more than +3, you're kind of just guessing. You no longer have enough time to employ the duck, so you're just sidestepping and hoping he doesn't use a move that tracks you, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. On +8 or better, you're guessing. Next, we have the final boss of Tekken, Lidia. Apparently, this is a top 3 character. Cool. So, whenever she runs a horse mix-up, which is from 442 or from QCF 4, these are the same exact mix-up by the way. You sidestep right duck, it will beat everything besides the homing mid. So, cycle through the options. You will launch that. That's the 1 option. You'll launch the 2. You'll launch the 1+2. You'll launch 3+4. You do have to stand back up in time to block this mid, which is +8. Trust me, that doesn't sound as bad as it is. So you will just be able to block that on reaction. It's 28 frames. And you will get tagged by this, which will give Lidia a political storm. So she'll be able to get, if I can remember the input for political storm. Yeah, so that will be guaranteed for 48 damage. If the Lidia player is good, which I will not comment on that, then she can actually launch here with a forward 4-2. So that will look like this. Right, so a really good Lidia player will be able to do that. Again, we will not comment on the skill of Lidia players because that is toxic and we're not toxic here. So that is all of horse stance. Again, same exact mix-up from here. Even after the down back 3, you can run the same counterplay and it will beat everything except this homing high will tag you most of the time now if you don't have enough frames to step. But we can see here, we'll go through all of this. We're still evading all of the stuff we would be evading anyways. So yeah, sidestep right duck, and then if she does the homing mid, if you have a read on that, you can jab it. So cool, that is horse stance. If we talk about cat stance, she cannot get into cat stance plus on block, so you can just sidestep right duck all of this stuff too. You'll step the 1, you'll step the first hit of 2, and you can launch her on reaction. You'll step the 1+2, you'll duck the 3, and you will duck the 4, which is a -14. So, cool. Now, if you're worried about her ever transitioning into her other stance, so going into Heaven and Earth and Heat, you can just grab. I have another video that I just released like a week and a half ago where I showed you do a sidestep right duck throw, and it will beat every single option whether or not she transitions to stance. So, sidestep right duck is king once again. Now, we will show the mix-up from Wolf Stance. So this is +8 into Wolf Stance. She's typically getting in on +8. The 1 will lose to sidestep right duck. The 1+2 will lose to sidestep right duck. The 3 will lose to sidestep right duck. And the 4 will lose to sidestep right duck. Now, she will tag you with this 2, but that's fine. So, cool. And finally, now, I will be honest, the timing on this sidestep right duck is a little different. So, it's going to take a little while, but this sidestep right duck will also beat everything from Heaven and Earth. So, let's put Lidia in heat, and let's go through it. So this is the launcher. This is the mid, that's plus on block. And this is the unblockable high. So, yeah, this is the final boss. Up next is Lili. So Lili cannot transition into Do Glide plus on block. The best frames that she can get is -1. And do note that any delayed button out of the Do Glide will have some crushing properties. So it can be very hard to check this with jab because you see, like at the bottom of this, she's like pretty low to the ground. she can go under some highs there. So keep that in mind. If you want to interrupt this, just use a fast mid. That's your best bet. Like a 12 frame mid, if you have one, always use it. It will beat everything besides the armor. So cool. If you want to sidestep, you can sidewalk left to everything except the homing move, obviously, right? So that's the 1. This is the 2. You obviously can't step this. This is the 1+2. This is the 3+4. You will get tagged by the first hit, but it only does 6 damage, and you are +9. She cannot step on +9s. QCF 3 will lift. Down forward 3 will lift. While standing 4 will lift. And down forward 4 will whip. So sidewalk left is extremely powerful here if you don't think she's going to use the homing button. Even if she's in the heat, the homing button tagging you is not that big of a deal anymore because this is only 50 damage. So good stuff. In terms of her back turn mix-up, you're kind of always guessing here if you're playing a regular character, which is very, very unfortunate, but it is what it is. So at least in terms of movement, it's hard to get a consistently big reward here. And the main reason is that on -3, we will be able to step the 1-2, we'll be able to step the 1-1, or the 1-4 rather. We'll be able to step the 1+2, those are very high options. We will also be able to step the armor, which is good, but we have a homing mid. We'll also be able to step the 3+4, which is good. The down 2, this is pretty much homing against the regular cast. Down 4 is pretty much homing against the regular cast. Down 3 will whiff, and the hell sweep will hit. So sidestep right block or sidestep right duck is the 50-50 that you are taking. It is what it is. Now, if you are playing Lili or Alisa, you can sidewalk left block, and these characters will be able to sidewalk left all of the lows and then block the homing mid. So there is no mix-up for Lili or Alisa. Finally, if you want to interrupt, crouch jabbing will beat everything except armor, and this 3+4, this 3+4 will jump over the crouch jab. So that is good. You have a fast mid. A fast mid will also beat everything besides the armor, but be very, very careful because this will tag all of the fast mids. So you're taking a risk either way, but that's what your options are. I forgot to mention this, but Yoshi can also spin every single option for back turn besides the homing mid. So yeah, very hard matchup for Lili. Unfortunately, Miary Zo is another casino character. If she does sidestep 2, or if she does while running 2-1, she will be +4 in the stance, and on this +4, you can't press because she has a counter hit launcher, and she has a button that will just beat everything you're pressing anyways. So the counter hit launcher won't be like a crouch shot, but it'll be basically everything besides that. She has an armor move. Yeah, this stance does literally everything on top of having very good tracking. By very good tracking, I mean that this low, so if we do this low is homing. The 1 option will fully track to the right, and the 2 option will fully track to the left. So, yeah. You have to take a guess every single time. But you will step everything else if you apply the counterplay appropriately. So, yeah, sidestep right duck or sidestep left duck is a hard 50-50 every single time. Fortunately, the staff stance has much more counterplay. You can just jab flow everything that is not the one move that beats the jab float. So this will beat jab float. That will also wall splat, but everything else loses. So the 2 will get floated. The 3 will get floated. The 4 will get floated. And I don't think she has another move from this. Yeah, that's it. She doesn't have any other moves. So cool. That's Miary Zo. On the crouching stance, you're taking a guess. On the staff stance, you take a guess whether or not she's going to beat your jab float. And if she is, that's kind of what you're doing. All right, let's talk about Nina. Nina is a tricky character because she is running like 100 mix-ups every single round. So it's not so much that she has no counterplay. It's more that you need to be ready every single time she does a thing. Because if you don't, you have to block. And she's usually plus on block. And now it's time to guess again. So that's kind of the deal with Nina. You need to be very locked in to have a solid defense against this character. So let's talk about her crouch dash. Typically, she's getting in on 0 with down 4 to 1-2, but she can also get in on +6 and even a little bit higher sometimes. But she can get in on +6 with her forward 4-2. So let's cycle through the options. While standing 1 will beat your sidewalk left. CD1 will also beat it. CD2 will whiff. While standing 2, this will fully track right. CD1+2 will lift. While standing 1+2 will lift. CD3 plus 4 will whiff. That's the same thing as while standing 3 plus 4. CD3 will hit you. This is a throw. I believe this is a 1 break. Oh, but she might be able to 50-50 you after this. I'm not 100% sure, but that will tag you. CD3 will whiff. CD4 will tag you. And while standing 4 fully tracks left. So that's basically everything. We also have a throw. She can do a 1 throw or a 2 throw from this. She might even be able to do a 1 plus 2. No, she can only do a 1 or a 2 throw from this. So even on plus 6, you saw we were stepping quite a bit of stuff there. If we are on 0, sidewalk left actually beats everything. Besides while standing 2 and while standing 4 because they fully track. So you can see the while standing 2 will catch you. This even tags Lili, by the way. So that fully tracks it. 1 plus 2. While standing 1 plus 2. 3 plus 4. That's the 4. Or that's the 3 rather. That's slide. And that is CD4. So yeah, I think you even step the grabs too. Yeah, you step the throws as well. So yeah, you just want to sidewalk that. Now, if you want to interrupt, you can interrupt on 0. And the 12 frame mid, if you have one, is going to be very, very good. You can also crouch jab. That's also very, very good as well. There are not many options. It's going to beat both. So you're kind of just good to go with that. As for her sidestep mix, a sidestep left duck will actually beat everything except the sidestep 3 plus 4 because it's a homing mid. But you will beat literally everything else. So let's go through it. Sidestep 1. Sidestep 2. Sidestep 1 plus 2. And sidestep 4, we will duck the low and go under the high. So, yeah, that's Nina. Her back sway, there isn't a mix-up here. She has one move from back sway, and that is this. But there's no mix-up here, so, yeah, that's Nina. Paul is an interesting character because he can vary up his timing quite a bit, which makes defending against him pretty hard. He can also, with very strong execution, do stuff like loop his down forward 1. I am not good at doing this, but you can loop this, and then if you loop that properly, that is homing against the entire cast except privileged sidesteps. So that is incredibly annoying. With that being said, you can also finish the string, which is down forward 1-1. The second hit's a high, so you can duck that. There are a lot of mix-ups, especially off of his down forward 1. With that being said, if Paul tries to run a sway mix-up, then you can actually low parry. You can sidestep low parry the entire thing. So you want to go a sidestep right low parry. So let's look at the options. This is the 1, you will launch that. The 2, you will launch that. The 1 plus 2, you will usually launch this, yeah. So if he delays it, then you will get launched. But again, on immediate timing, you will launch it. The 3, you will low parry. And the 4, you will duck under and launch. So that's really, really good stuff here. And the same thing is true on worse frames. So if we change this to 2, we have 3-2 back. The same thing is true here. Although with 3-2 back, you do need to be careful about the spacing. You should just be ducking the second hit, but the 1 plus 2 will tag you because he's so much further away. Yeah. And then off while standing 1-2, again, the same counterplay. But the 1 plus 2 will sometimes tag you, so you need to do like a bigger step to compensate. But, you know, that's kind of the deal with Paul. He can vary his timing so much that it becomes very, very difficult to mount a real, like, versus all counterplay here. Privileged sidesteps can do that regardless of frames, and they will always get the result they are looking for, which is good stuff. So Paul doesn't have any options from crouch dash that are like, or he doesn't have a way to go into crouch dash on block. He has to do it manually. Do note, if he charges this 1 plus 2 and then you crouch dash, that will realign with you, so every option is homing there. So you do want to be careful. However, if you see him just doing a crouch dash, then you kind of want to just sidewalk right to get away from it. That is generally pretty good, but there is no like ultra safe option here. Just sidewalk right is pretty good against Paul in general. The same thing is true if he crouch dashes. Finally, let's talk about deep dash. This is a hard 50-50 stance. Sorry, that's just what the deal is here. You can try a mashing on a +2. If you have a 12 frame mid, then mashing is okay here. You will trade with this first hit of Deep Dash 2. So again, Leroy, Lili, these types of characters, Reina, Heihachi, that have the knockdown 1 plus 2. These are all very, very good here. But everyone else, they're just taking a guess. So everything will track to both sides besides the hatchet. This will track right, and the 2, this will track left. Unfortunately, both of the follow-ups are homing, so even if you step the first hit, you need to rip your punish pretty quickly, otherwise you are in the air. On top of that, we just have a homing button. So, yeah, every option, both from full crouch and from, the while standing, and from deep dash, it all tracks besides the 2 buttons, so you're taking a guess. Alright, let's talk about Raven. We're going to talk about his back turn first because I'm going to be honest, Raven has about 20 moves that go into back turn, and that's just kind of the deal. He can't really get into back turn plus on block, which is really, really nice. So let's just go over some of these options. It's truly an insane amount of moves, so let's just look at it. He's typically going to be able to get in around +2 on back turn. 4-1 is +3, but the frames don't really matter that much. So let's cycle through all of the options and let's see what we're evading. 1-4 is hitting us. That will just be a knockdown and a wall splat, so be careful about that one. 2 will get whiffed. The first hit will, but the second hit is a mid. We're going to want to stand up for that if we can. The second mid is -9. He can also rip a shadow, which is -13. So keep that in mind. 3-4. The first 2 hits, they will just tag you, and that's what it is. Nothing as you can do about that, unfortunately. 4. This is a mid. As long as it doesn't delay it, you will get away from that pretty cleanly, which is nice. 1+2. You will evade that. 3+4. You will evade that. Forward 1. You will evade that. Forward 2-3. The 3 will actually whiff, so he gets launched. Forward 2-4 will also whiff, so he gets launched. Forward 3, that will whiff. Forward 4-1, this will also whiff. Forward 3+4, this will also whiff. Down 2, you will block it, that's -12. Down 3, that is a snake edge, you will block it and launch it. Back 2, this will whiff. So let's just show the extensions. Back 2-3, this is actually a launcher, so after the duck, you want to stand back up. But we can also do back 2-4, which will just whiff. So it is what it is. Back 3, you will duck this. Forward 3, this will hit you and it will wall splat, but it will knock you away at a weird angle, so that usually won't do anything too crazy. And finally, forward 3+4, you will duck and launch it. So yeah, that's a lot of moves. I know it's a lot, but as you can see, side step left duck is very, very good here, even with normal side steps. Lili and Alisa will be able to evade the 1 and the 2, as well as all of the mids that actually clipped, but the 3 is basically homing. There's nothing you can do to get away from the 3, so that is back turn. Soul Zone is much easier. If you block a move that goes into Soul Zone, he is dead. This side step left duck will cover everything. So let's do CD1. This is -2 on block. It goes into Soul Zone. So cool. Let's do the options. 1, he's dead. 2, he's dead. 1+2, he's dead. 3, he's dead. 4, you will block it. He's -14. If you're playing Jin, he's dead. Nice. Nice and sweet. Something else to keep in mind, if he is in Soul Zone and he puts his hands together and says, oh, over here, so the auto teleport, oh, over here, that is real. You have to respect that. If he puts his hands together first and then says over here, that is launch every single time. So keep that in mind. You really want to make sure that you're launching that and not letting him just mix you up with that over and over again for free. Next, let's talk about crouch dash. I have Raven in back turn because it's just the easiest way to show this stance. He doesn't really have a lot of ways of transitioning on block, but even when he does transition, the sidewalk left is still pretty good here. So regular characters will be able to sidewalk left the CD2 and the CD1+2 pretty reliably. So if you see here, Jin can sidewalk that. However, you will get tagged by the 1, you will get tagged by the 3, which that is a launcher, so that is very scary, and you will get tagged by the 4, which is also a launcher. So scary stuff there. If you are playing Lili or Alisa, you can sidewalk left to the entire stance. Cool. Yeah, that's basically it. Finally, let's talk about the full crouch mix. Unfortunately, this is a fully homing mix. The only characters that have a reasonable counterplay are Lili and Alisa. They can sidestep left duck to beat the entire stance because they will step all the non-homing options. However, there are two homing lows. However, there are two homing lows and a homing mid. So, full crouch down forward 3 is a homing low. Full crouch down forward 3+4 is a homing snake edge, or a homing hell sweep rather, that will 4 break. And while standing 3+4 is a homing mid. No character can step that on any range. They can't step either of the lows. So this is just a pure 50-50 every single time. Sorry, that's Raven. Alright, let's talk about Reina. If you want a really big reward after blocking a move that goes into Sentai, or even getting hit by the Sentai low, or this new low here, if you want to get a big reward, then sidestep left duck is going to be your best bet here. You'll get tagged by a couple of moves, but you will be able to launch a bunch of moves. So that's really nice. We'll cycle through the options. This armor, if you're playing a regular character, you will not be able to step that. It's exceptionally difficult to get away. V2, you will launch this. V1+2, this hard tracks to the left. So you will take 54 damage here. You will beat the homing low. You will beat the homing throw. You will launch the 4, and the 3 just comes out too fast for you to get any meaningful distance or to duck. So it is what it is. If you want a lower reward but lower risk option in general, then you can crouch jab. The crouch jab will lose to armor, and it will lose to the jumping move, but you will interrupt everything else. So this could be an option if you wish. Personally, I don't like doing this, but I'm also playing a character that can step the armor, so I'm not going to feel like this is super necessary. But yeah, those are your options there. So that is good stuff. Additionally, with the Sentai mix, Yoshi can flash every single option except the armor. So cool. Dead Devil Jin can also parry, but the parry isn't ultra effective. So personally, if you're playing Devil Jin, you just have to apply regular defense, but Yoshi can just flash everything, which is very, very nice. Again, besides the armor. Next, let's talk about Heaven's Wrath. You want to sidestep right block, but do note that this is very risky as this is a reward stance. So be very, very careful. If you get hit by a move that goes into Heaven's Wrath, you are guessing. We can do a sidestep right, and that will evade a couple of options. So the sidestep right will evade the 2. That is a common option. And the sidestep right will also evade the 3. That's another big option. The block will cover the 4. This 4 is -10 to launch, depending on whether or not you finish it. And if we do the down 4, this 4 is fine. But if she rips the 3, that is launch on block. It's -16. So yeah, cool. Sidestep right block is good here. The 3+4, we will be able to block that in time, which is nice. And we also have a armor. You will not be able to block this in time. That's fortunate, but it is what it is. This homing high will either wall splat or it will heat engage. So yeah, there's a decent amount of risk here if you're not playing Lili or Alisa. Now, if you're playing Lili or Alisa, then you can actually just hard commit to a sidewalk right and then just react to some of the strings that will still hit you. So if we look at the 2, they will still step that. The 1+2, they will step. The 3+4, they will step, which is huge. They're the only 2 that can step that. The down 4-3, they will get hit by the low, but they can block the mid, in which case that is launch. The 4, again, they can block it just like everyone else, never getting hit by the first couple of hits, or the first hit rather. So keep that in mind. And yeah, the only move that is scary to them is the homing high and the throw, which is also homing. But the funny thing is, after the hell sweep, if your back isn't against the wall, she's actually not close enough to grab you here. So cool. When she is in heat, this low, the down 3+4, this is actually homing, and you cannot step this to either direction. So it is what it is. You do have to take a guess for every character if she's in heat. But again, Lili and Alisa already want to sidewalk right guess anyways. So yeah, that is Heaven's Wrath. Finally, there's Unsoku. If you're playing a regular character, you have to guess, And if you are playing Lili or Alisa, you either sidestep in either direction or you duck. That's pretty much it. There isn't really anything else to talk about here. Typically, I just stand block the Unsoku mix and just eat the low. I think that's the safest thing to do. All right, let's talk about Shaheen. So to access his stance, you're typically going to do a full crouch down forward 4. This will go into sneak. And he can also cancel sneak into full crouch. A good Shaheen will be able to do that exceptionally quickly. So he can effectively mix you from full crouch and from sneak at the same time, at least whenever he is in sneak. So keep that in mind when defending against his character. Let's cycle through some options. Typically, you're going to want to sidewalk right. The 1, you will step. The 2 will hit you. It's +8, so that means you have to hold a mix up afterwards, or rather, you can't step afterwards. But it doesn't do a whole lot, so that is fine. Down forward 1 and both the follow-ups, you will step. Down forward 2, you will step. 1 + 2 will hit you. That's a big deal that that hits you, so if you keep that in mind. 4, this will whiff. 3, this will whiff. So that is all the sneak options. You're still getting tagged by a couple of things, but keep in mind that a lot of this is whiffing. Now, he can also do all of his full crouch stuff, and this is very technical, but a lot of this will also hit you. So that while standing 2 will tag you. If you make enough distance to step enough things, you won't have enough time to actually block unless you're playing Lili or Alisa. So yeah, be careful about that one. That is -17 on block though. While standing 1 will also hit, but it's only +4. Not that big of a deal. While standing 3 will whiff. While standing 4 will hit if done fast enough, but again, this is very hard to do, but it will hit. We can also slide from here. The slide will whiff. I don't know if you can get this to hit if you're like really, really fast. So yeah, that is more or less Shaheen. That's kind of the whole thing. In terms of the character-specific stuff, Yoshi can flash everything from stance and nothing from full crouch, so that's a 50-50, but it's pretty advantage in Yoshi's favor, especially against low-level Shaheens. Lili and Alisa will be able to step everything to the right besides a second full crouch down forward 4, and they won't be able to step while standing 1, and they won't be able to step sneak 2. Alright, so this is probably going to be pretty disappointing. Steve isn't really a character that is mixing you up from stances. At least he's not doing a mid-low mix. It's not what Steve does. Now, Steve has lows, especially from Peekaboo specifically, right? So we have Peekaboo down 1, and we have Peekaboo down 2. That is reactable, but he can now cancel that, so keep that in mind. Steve's not a mix-up character from his stances. That's not what he's doing. He's a timing character. So, what else do we have? Well, the only other stance really worth talking about is Lionheart, which is the up back 2, and yeah, that's the biggest one. So the way that we deal with Lionheart is as such. If he is +5, which he gets from 1 hit into Lionheart, then you have to guess. That's unfortunate, but it is what it is. If he is +3, which is 2 hits into Lionheart, you can actually jab interrupt basically everything. The only thing you have to worry about is he can weave out of all of his stances. So if he is in Lionheart, he can back weave to beat jabs, get forward weave to beat jabs, and then right weave and left weave will also beat jabs depending on the frames. So you do want to be careful, but it's just kind of a 50-50 every single time. There isn't anything super crazy that you can do here. Yeah, if you want to learn more about Steve, I really highly recommend you check out my guide, because Steve's stances aren't traditional stances. It's just, I'm gonna punch you mid or high, with the exception of Peekaboo, where he can sometimes punch you low. Unfortunately, Victor has received a series of changes that make it so that the counterplay to his stances is quite a bit less doable if you do not have a privileged sidestep. So it is what it is, but we're still going to talk about what options you do have. So the 1 option will lose the sidewalk left, even if you do like the 1-2. So let me show that. Yes, that will also lose the sidewalk left. The 2 option will tag a sidewalk left. Down 2 will tag a sidewalk left. Down 1 will tag a sidewalk left. 1 + 2 is homing. 3 will whiff, which is good. 4 will tag a sidewalk left. And yeah. Oh, we also have down 1 + 2. This is also homing. So basically the entire stance is tracking you on +4. So you either want to sidewalk left to block, or you want to sidewalk left to duck. Those are your two options, which again is unfortunate, but that's just kind of the deal with Victor. If you're playing a privileged sidestep, you can evade the entire stance with a pretty perfectly timed sidewalk left duck. So this is basically exclusive to Lili and Alisa, but they have a very, very powerful option here. But it is not like a just frame, it's a very frame tight. So keep that in mind if you're playing those characters. You want to specifically allow for the timing, otherwise there's not a whole lot that you can do here. As for Perfumer, the counterplay here is actually super simple. So with this charge, if you hold this charge, which you can't stop this on reaction, this is much too fast and the tracking is too good. So if you hold this charge, then you have to guess. If he hits you into Perfumer, you have to guess. If you block anything going into Perfumer, then you can just press. 13 frame mids or faster will basically beat everything. There's not a whole lot you can do about it. There's no point in showing what the options are. You have to guess if he hits you or if you block this charge. And if you block the no charge or anything else going to Perfumer, you press and he dies. The Xiaoyu section is going to be different because she just has such a vast move list, and she has so many moves that have so many properties from every stance that, in all honesty, you're kind of just guessing no matter what. She basically has a homing move from everything. She has a low, a mid, a launcher, a high. She has everything from everything. As a consequence, what you want to do is you want to contest her feints. That is how you beat Xiaoyu. Ask anyone who has a lot of experience in this matchup. You beat Xiaoyu by letting her feint and mashing on her feints. If she finishes any of these feints, they are either highs or they are mids that are unsafe. So you start mashing on them and then you let her finish them sometimes. That's how you beat this character. That's the boring answer, but it is what it is. I will now show you her feints. 4-3+4. This is an empty roll that can recover in full crouch or in AOP. She can also do a second one that will do those triple mid kicks that are +8 on block. If you see this roll, you can sidewalk in either direction and it will evade the triple mid kick, or you can rip a launch. Those are your options if you think she's just going to recover in crouch. We also have forward, 2-1 back. When you see this, this is -19 on block. You want to launch this feint every single time. We have up 1+2, 2-1 back, -19 on block. Launch this feint every single time. 2-1 back, -14 on block. She will be in back turn. It's going to take her a couple frames to turn around. Launch this every single time. Down 4-3 back. This is the snake edge. This is basically impossible to react to, but just know that she can cancel the snake edge into back turn. Down 4, 2-3 down. She can cancel this into full crouch. -16. Launch this every time. Next, we have back turn 1-2 down. If she cancels it, -16 in crouch. Put her in the air. We have up forward 1 down. This is an empty jump that recovers in full crouch and can also recover in AOP, I believe. Yeah, she can do this low that goes into AOP. Either way, hop kick that on reaction every single time. We have a forward 1 down. This will go into AOP at -5. She can't block in AOP. Be very careful about what button you use here, because she can go under it with AOP down, and she can, she has jumping options. Very, very evasive. We all know how evasive she is. But this is a feint, because she can do this, and this is a launcher. A lot of people don't actually know this. I've never actually seen a Xiaoyu use this. This is a launcher. Yeah, so that should be all of her feints. If I miss any, please let me know in the comments. But this is the angle that you beat Xiaoyu on. You're not going to beat her by sidestepping. You need to contest her on her feints. That's how you beat this character. Up next is Yoshi. He also has a trillion stances, but there's actually like real counterplay here instead of just guess like with Xiaoyu. So let's go through it. With Kincho, if he hits you in his stance, you're usually guessing, so my bad. If you block a move that goes into stance, the best he can get in is +3. And on +3, you have a pretty insane option select here. So let's cycle through and we're going to do a sidestep right duck. 1-1. The second one will hit you, so you do want to stand back up for that. But you can actually do like a second sidestep on reaction. You'll get away from the last 2 hits. That's very, very hard to do, but keep that in mind. 2, 1+2, you will step the first hit and you can launch on the next hit. So cool. You don't even have to block that. You can just launch before it comes out. 3, you will step that. You will get a back turn launch. Cool. You will duck under the 4. 1+2, this will hit you, but he'll be -28 and he'll be behind you. So you just run up and launch him, which is nice. You can flash from this stance. Don't know why he would do that on plus frames. Down 1, that will whiff. Forward 1 is a weird one. So if you just commit to a sidewalk and say, I don't care about the homing hide, this will actually be a launch. Let me actually show you what that looks like. If we just do like a side step right here, then this is what's going to happen. He'll be a -17 back turn. So yeah, that is, if you have a hard read on that, though, you rarely ever see that in the neutral. So I wouldn't count on this move. But if you have a hard read on that, you can just commit to a sidewalk and say, I don't care about these highs. And that is fine. That's something you can do. Forward 1+2, this will whiff. Back 2-1, this will whiff. Back 1+2, this will whiff. Even if we do the side step right duck, I do believe this will whiff. Yeah, so cool. That's Kincho. It's a hard 50-50. Do you think he's going to do forward 2? If so, you hard duck. If you don't think he's going to do forward 2, you side step right duck, and that's going to beat basically everything. Up next, we have Flea Stance. So the counterplay here is super simple. I'm not even going to go through all the moves because there's no point. What we have here is we have 2 reactable lows. This is 24 frames. And we have, that is the Flea 2. And we have forward 4. This is a 23 frame low. So yeah, both of these are reactable. And that is the deal with those. You block if he enters on plus frames and you react to the lows. If he enters on minus frames, you do down forward 1 and you float him. That's basically it. I don't need to show you all the options because you should only ever duck on reaction. There's no reason to ever do anything else. Next, we have Indian Stance. He only has one way of getting into the stance with like a hit, and that is with up 1+2 with no sword. The funny thing is, if he hits you with this, it's actually worse for him. So if we look here, hop kick will actually beat everything except the 3+4, but the 3+4 will come out so fast that we don't even get launched. So we don't get any counter hit, there's no anything. So again, we will cycle through the options. This is 1, this is the unblockable, we get hit at airborne. 2, this is his down back 2, we get hit at airborne. 3, 3+4, you will flip past us. So he can't really confirm that launch of him. 4, we will launch it. And the 3+4, it will just hit us before we do anything. So we'll take 28 damage. But yeah, you kind of just want to rip a hop kick every single time Yoshi presses on immediate timing. You are severely advantaged in this situation. Now, if you block this move, you do need to be careful about what option you use because he is +5 on block, and you can see this hop kick actually just straight up went on. So yeah, if you block this move, I would just like sidewalk and hope that he doesn't do the 3+4. That's kind of your best bet here. Finally, let's talk about Dragonfly. If Yoshi enters on +5, then side step right duck will beat everything, although the timing to get the duck properly is very tight because the forward 1+2 will actually tag a side step right duck if you don't duck. So it took me a while to record that, and I'm going to be honest, I don't feel like re-recording it. But yeah, let's just cycle through the other options so that you can see that it actually works. The 1 will whiff. The 2 will whiff. The 3 will get blocked. That's -14. The 4 will whiff. The 3+4 will whiff. The forward 2 will whiff. So cool. That's pretty much it. On +7, the sidestep right duck. So he gets the +7 from when he's in Dragonfly already, the forward 2. So if you block this, then he is +7. On that, the 4 is homing on the entire cast, and the 4 is a heat engager. So be very, very careful about that. But yeah, sidestep right duck is just really, really good here. Finally, let's talk about Zafina. So unfortunately, she can put you in a lot of situations where you just have to guess, which is very annoying. So after 4-4-3, for instance, she's +4. You can't step most of the options here. If we do while running 3, you basically can't step anything. And if we do Mantis down forward 1, she has plus 10, you can't do anything. So it's very, very annoying, but that is Zafina. You know, it is what it is. A lot of these moves are very avoidable, so you can step this move. I forget which direction, but you can't step it. So, you know, it is what it is. As a consequence, we will talk about Scarecrow from the forward 3 perspective, which is plus 3. On plus 3, we will evade the first hit of 1-4, in which case you want to stand back up to block. She is minus 6 in Tarantula. You can punish that if you have a mid that hits very low to the ground. So, good stuff. 2-1, you will step the first hit, and then you have to either block the second hit or continue your step. But a side step right duck is still very, very good here. 1+2, you cannot step this, and if she hits you with it, you're taking 44 damage, and she's getting her install. So, it's pretty scary stuff, but, you know, it is what it is. Down forward 1. This will actually whiff, which is cool. Regular characters can step that, which is really, really nice. On +4, Lili and Alisa can step that, but regular characters can't, so, you know, it is what it is. But on +3, you can totally step that. It's good stuff. We can also sidestep duck the back 1+2, though do note this is very hard to do. The privileged sidesteps have an easier time doing it, but we can sidestep duck it. It's 16 frames fast, so you can't react to it. It is minus 18 though, so good stuff there. We also have 3-3. You will step the first hit and duck the second hit. Cool. We have down 3-3. You'll get hit by the first hit and duck the second hit. Cool. Those will both be launched. Down forward 3-3. This is a snake edge. We will duck this. 4. This is an instant tornado. So, yeah, you're not happy about that one. But that is minus 18 on block. So, yeah, good stuff there. Make sure you launch that. Most people don't know that that is minus 18. Down 4, this is a launch launchable slide. You will just step that, so that is good stuff. Down forward 4, you will block this, and she is minus 14, so that is good stuff. And finally, we have 3+4. That will just straight up whiff, so you are good to go. The more privileged side steps will be able to escape pretty much everything here, so that is good. But yeah, your sidestep right duck is going to be very, very good. Just be careful about this 1+2. This, I have had a very, very hard time stepping that move. Next, let's talk about Mantis. So if Zafina hits you in the Mantis with a mid, you could actually still just mash on this stance. You basically just want to use a fast mid, and it will catch pretty much everything. The only thing you need to worry about is hitbox issues. So like Reina's down forward 1 will check this entire stance, while Jin's down forward 1 will check the whole stance besides the Mantis down forward 4. But I'll just show you that she can hit you in the Mantis with the mid, and you can still just mash here. So if we look at the options, let's cycle through them. This is the 1, we get counter hit. Down forward 1, we get counter hit. Down 1, we get counter hit. 2, we get counter hit. Down forward 2. 1+2, we just recover in time, so it doesn't even matter that that's armored. 3, oh, I didn't press it. 3. Up forward 3, we actually get floated. Down forward 3, we also get floated. 4-3. 4. And down forward 4 will go under mids with poor hitboxes, but you can see very clearly, even on a -4, which, you know, this is a on-hit mid, you can just mash here. The other thing to keep in mind is that on block, she is always at least a -13, usually significantly more minus than that. So you can just rip a down forward 1 or a 13 frame punish, whatever you want. The only thing to keep in mind here is that she can actually block in this stance. So if you aren't sure exactly how minus a certain move is, and then you try to mash on this stance, she can just hold the back button, and if you try to rip a launcher or something, then you'll just die. So make sure you're not just mindlessly ripping launchers here. Finally, let's talk about Tarantula. For this stance, you basically always want to mash. She does have one option to really punish a mash here, but you kind of just always want to mash, at least in my opinion. So, the 1, This will beat your crouch jab, but she is +5 in stance. You can just crouch jab again if you really want to. E2, you will block it, so cool. Down forward 1, you will interrupt it. 4, you will float it, though I don't think any character can do anything about that, so that's fine. And the 3, this will counter hit you into a guaranteed heat engager. However, if you end up blocking the 3, then you can actually just mash a mid here with a good hitbox, and it will always hit Zafina literally every single time. There is nothing she can do about it. Alright, we are finally done. Now, this guide is just a little bit different structure than the last one. I mean, I know you guys know that, you watched the entire thing. But the biggest thing to keep in mind is that not every stance has robust counterplay, and that not every stance has something that you can do besides just guess, right? So there aren't really drills that you can do for a lot of this stuff. And there's not a whole lot to lab for a lot of this stuff. It's more just, here's the risk, here's the reward of the counterplay options that you have. So again, just keep that in mind, especially if you feel like a lot of the sections were pretty short. I'm sure some people will have complaints about the Steve and the Hwoarang section. But again, these are characters where just doing the thing against the couple of moves where you have to do the thing is all you have to do, you know? So, and there's also obviously a couple characters that just don't have any stances. So, that is the guide. This is probably the last, like, ultra long guide that I'm going to have. I am currently working on a Lili guide. You can expect that to come out within a week or two. I'm going to take a break from recording after this just so I can relax, do my streams, have fun. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you soon.